Well, now cycling is of course a great form of exercise. Here in London we often see many commuters cycling to work in the morning. As well as the benefits of exercise, a considerable amount of money can also be saved by cycling.
A new initiative has been launched across London this month aiming to get more commuters cycling to work. Sadia Chaudhry has the details.
So this morning I took a train into Waterloo Station and then I took the Jubilee line to London Bridge and the Northern line up to Old Street Station. Door to desk, this journey takes me a little under an hour and costs me just over £2,000 a year. But what about my colleagues?
Morning, Sadia.
So go on, how was your commute to work?
Well, for me, I had to walk to the Aylesbury train station. I then took the train to Marylebone, then walked to Baker Street station and took the tube to Moorgate and then walked to work, which takes me roughly 2.5 hours, and it cost me a whopping £385.
I drove in today, hence the keys. I live in Hornchurch in Essex. Normally the commute takes me about 40 minutes, but sometimes depending on traffic it takes me about up to an hour. But as far as cost is concerned, it's about £2.50. It's because I drive a diesel.
I've just cycled in from Leighton. It takes me exactly 25 minutes to come in, and the best thing, it's free.
Cycling is fast becoming a popular way to commute. In a Bristol suburb, more than 1 in 4 people ride to work. And in some parts of London, cycling accounts for more than 50% of total commutes. British Cycling is launching commuter rides across London throughout this month. It's part of a national campaign to get 1 million more people cycling by next year.
This Sky Ride is to introduce people into commuting. Really good idea to do it on a nice warm day when you're feeling in a good mood and relaxed. Have your little map with you. We've got a few spare maps here for people to look at. And they can just get a feel for the route when it's a good day. And then if they want to do it in the morning when they're rushing to work, they're more relaxed and they know what to expect.
The reason I've opted to do this is because there are lots of us, so I do feel more comfortable riding with a group of cyclists, because I think motorists are more aware when there's a group of you. But also just the traffic. There is quite a lot of traffic on the roads in London, and that's what really makes me nervous and why I haven't ridden into work yet. It'll be a great saving because I won't be paying for the train, which is about £6 a day. Timing, I'm not sure, and that's one of the reasons why I want to do this ride today, to see how long it would actually take me.
All of the rides will be led by trained leaders and they'll give tips and advice on how to travel in busy traffic. They can also explain how to plan an effective commuter route and find quieter roads to travel on.
Yeah, it will definitely help, because the roads I normally go on aren't as busy as this one, so it's good to experience busier roads and get used to riding on them.
So tomorrow morning, are you going to be riding into work?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm not confident enough yet, but it does seem feasible now. Whereas before it was a bit of a dream, I'm confident that I will be doing it soon.
Over 200 local rides are taking place in London this year and not just aimed at commuters. Perhaps it's all coming off the back of Team GB cyclists' success at London 2012. But whatever the case, more and more people are taking up cycling as a great way, not just to have fun and keep fit, but to get to work.
On your bike.
On your bike. Well, you cycle everywhere, don't you?
I do. I mean, I have to admit, if I'm not on a bike and I'm, sitting in a train or going by car, I feel very envious when a cyclist goes by.
I tell you what, my intention is to get back on my bike, and maybe our next guest
Indeed.
can help us do that. Welcome to the show, Rob McLean from British Cycling.
Rob, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You didn't cycle in. Bit disappointed.
Yes, I'm afraid my job, we work all over London, and I'm constantly at all the different extremes of London. So,
But you look quite fit, so I'm assuming you do cycle yourself.
I certainly do, yes, but unfortunately, I think we're going to be talking a lot about commuting today, but commuting's not I'm more of a recreational cyclist.
I mean, British Cycling, you go from the playground all the way to the podium.
Yes, that's right, yes.
I mean, you look at Bradley Wiggins and all the rest of it as well.
Yes, indeed, yeah. I mean, we're, as the national governing body of the sport, we're keen to really help as many people as possible to get cycling. And as well as having the elite teams, and we've seen all the success with Team GB and Paralympics GP, we're also looking to get children and their parents and just...
I mean, it's taken the interest of cycling to another level, hasn't it? Because I've heard about young people, young children, pretending they're Bradley Wiggins racing down the street and stuff like that.
I know. The interest at the moment is phenomenal. It really is. And it's great for us because there's all this interest, and I think with some of the initiatives that we've got that are looking to perhaps build on that inspiration and get people actually out there on their bikes where they might not otherwise have done so.
It's kind of it's had a renaissance in the last few years, cycling, hasn't it? I mean, I think it took a bit of a dip, sort of maybe in the 80s, 90s. It's really come back with a vengeance now, and there's so many different aspects. There's the fitness, there's the cost, there's the convenience. It's just so much easier to get around by a bicycle. What is it that British Cycling, this initiative, Skyride, is it called?
Yes, it's called Skyride.
So what is the actual aim? It's long-term aim, and what are you doing at the moment to make that a reality?
Okay, well, I think one of the problems that people experience of riding is that they don't feel confident, perhaps. And Skyride's really very much aimed at the people who aren't so confident riding a bike. And we want to give them is an opportunity to understand that they actually can get on the bike. And the Skyride programme is a programme of led rides, meaning that they're group rides led by a qualified British cycling ride leader.
So it's pretty much what we saw in the film there, a
Indeed.
group of people all going out together.
Yeah, very much so. And that ride that we saw in the film clip, that was a commuter ride, hoping to give people the confidence to start commuting. Right. But there are other leisure rides as well. And for example, we do off-road rides for people who are particularly worried about going in the traffic.
So the Skyride I've seen is kind of certainly happening in Glasgow every summer. There's many people turn up for the day. It's a 50, 60 mile, whatever you want to do kind of thing, around a circuit and all the rest of it. So is that a similar initiative?
It's similar. It's part of the same initiative. One side of the initiative is Skyride City, where you've probably seen the Mayor's Skyride, where we close down the roads of London.
Exactly. Yes.
And everyone has the freedom of the city. These are perhaps much smaller scale. They're typically for about up to 30 people. And they're basically giving people the opportunity to find nice places to ride in their own communities and their own local neighbourhoods, because when it boils down to it, that's the important thing, isn't it?
Before the show, we were talking about cycling generally. I mean, I've had one major accident in my time. I know you're trying to push the agenda of getting people on their bike.
It is a concern.
But at the same time,
Safety.
what are we actually doing in relation to educating motorists about cyclists? Because I've only seen one advert ever where there's a kind of a break into a bank and the guys are sitting in the car ready to shoot off and suddenly the cycle hits them. So that's the only thing. But certainly for motorcyclists, we've seen plenty about think bike kind of thing. But for cyclists, I just don't feel the safety element is the one big issue at the moment, because there's so many deaths have been reported regularly, sadly. What are we doing about that particular element?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think we've got to make a lot of ground in this area. We're working with Transport for London and the government and all sorts of other agencies, and really what we're trying to do is get cycling championed to be at the heart of motoring policy.
I think that's the key, isn't it?
I think it is, and certainly there is talk of, and there have been incidents that they're all aware of, but on the other hand, the sort of boom in cycling that's been over the last couple of years, perhaps the rates of incidents are completely out of kilter with the increase in cycling that has actually been. But I think the principal thing we're doing, alongside Skyride, which is all about getting people confident, and confidence is an important part of road safety and road awareness, which we're trying to promote through this programme, is to work with the agencies that can actually do something about infrastructure and also things about policy to do with HGVs and junctions and things like that.
I think that's right, because I've seen that you mentioned the HGVs. I've seen a lot of the traffic lights now, those mirrors, and they make all the difference, because the lorries are turning, aren't they, and they cut across the corner. Cyclists are on the inside lane are getting caught up, and I know that's been identified, and I think there's been some success in identifying that, and I think, as you said, it's part, really in dealing with any problem, it's recognising the problem first of all and getting it the wider look. So getting all of transport strategy to look at cycling in one. Certainly when you cycle in Europe, you notice how much better the infrastructure is.
How do you get to Amsterdam? That's the point. Well, not...
You mean get to those levels?
Get to the level of Amsterdam.
Have those cycle superhighways in London, have they made a big difference, do you think?
I think they have. I mean, it's all part of the process of making London a cycle-friendly city. I think the challenge we've got in London is that Amsterdam, perhaps from its very beginnings, was part of the way that the city was built. Also, it's a very much smaller city than London, and so with London we've got a much more complicated and a bigger challenge. But certainly, and I know there's a lot of work going on at the moment, and certainly the mayor's very keen to see.
I mean, he's a cyclist.
The other thing, about that, we were discussing this yesterday about Boris bikes. I mean, they've been quite successful, but again, the issue of danger. I mean, Boris bikes. I've hardly ever seen anybody wear a helmet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Do you know, but I heard about an amazing initiative, and I don't know whether this is, forgive the pun, pie in the sky, or whether it is something that Skyride are going to be doing. building elevated flyovers all around the railway
I've heard that a
networks.
few
I heard that
times.
following the railway networks over the top for bicycles.
Yes.
I thought, when I heard that, I thought, what a fantastic idea, because it is amazing how fast you can get from A to B if you
Yes.
don't have traffic and you can go as the crow flies.
I mean, on that note, the super highways that are built, what I find frustrating, you might go on one and it suddenly stops. And you're like, so where do I go now? Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
So-
I do.
What do you think about these flyovers? Are they going to happen?
I think the flyovers. I don't know, but I think certainly that kind of specialised provision for cyclists is something that we would all sort of dream of, if you like. And there's all sorts of creative thinking going on at the moment about all sorts of steps that can be taken, and certainly I think that's a very exciting one, isn't
I had
it?
one idea, interesting, similar to what you've done on your Sky Ride, where the commuters are coming together on a Saturday morning, getting the feel. I had an idea that maybe every half an hour or something, cyclists could gather in Ilford and then go all the way to the city centre together, because there's a group of them, there's less likelihood that cars are going to,
Yes.
So that was a thought I had, that every morning, every half an hour, similar to the tubes running, they could gather at certain places, and 3 or 4, 5, 6, 10 cyclists could go together, so it makes life a little bit easier.
Safer.
Well, it's funny you should say that. We've just sort of started an initiative called Social Cycling Groups, which is basically social networking for cyclists. And it's all about giving people the opportunity to meet other cyclists who want to cycle in similar areas for similar reasons.
Yeah.
So that's already got 10,000 buddies.
Wow.
And if you go to our, it is, and if you go to our GoSkyRide.com website, go to Social Cycling Groups, you can set up a profile for yourselves and look for other cyclists to cycle with.
Is that what happened at the weekend?
That was slightly different. I mean, Skyride is specific group rides led by ourselves, but Social Cycling Groups is more putting the ball in the court of the individual, if you like. And so that, for example, if you wanted to set up a group or start a particular ride,
Where do you come in
you'd
from?
be able to do that.
Walthamstow, there you go. Walthamstow to central London. There must be loads of people doing that.
Well,
There
indeed.
is.
Well,
There is.
indeed.
But we just get up at different times of the morning.
Yeah, but certainly, if you wanted to explore that, think about getting a profile on Social Cycling
Now,
Groups.
look, the other thing I want to touch on, I mean, obviously, it's my time to gripe about cycling now, I
I know,
suppose.
you're well
is,
into
you know,
this.
cost as well. I mean, cost, as much as become popular, costs are spiral now.
Yeah.
Decent bike, anything under £500, forget it. But what recommendation would you give to people who want to get involved, get on their bike? What's the best kind of bike to buy and all those kind of things? What would you suggest? How do people get into the entry level?
Well, I think actually there are some good bargains to be had bike-wise, and I think once you perhaps get into biking a bit, you possibly get, if you like, blinded by all the different gadgets that are available,
that's
and
right. That's exactly right.
and it's all very attractive. But actually, sort of some of the major sort of, perhaps probably can't mention a particular brand, but
Sure.
some of the main high street shops sell very reasonable bikes,
Yeah,
and
they do.
actually probably for around £150.
That's right. You and your 500 quid.
Well, I bought a £1,000 bike, Chris Boardman, fantastic, loved it, and bought a lock that's worth 50, 60 quid, guaranteed. But they left the lock, they cut the frame.
the bike.
We're going to come back with you,
You're
Rob.
unfortunate.
We're
there,
going to come back. Thank you very much.
Stay with
John.
us.
Yeah, we'll do.
We'd
Love
like you
to.
to continue with our other guests as well.
We do. Look, right now it's time for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Coming up is our YouTube clip, and we'll also be learning more about the Muslim Youth Helpline. See you very shortly.
Together, we can build hope. Orphans in Need sponsors Living the Life.
And for Islamic finance, I think we stand for great corporate governance, ethical behavior.
It's a product for all people because it's fundamentally an ethical, socially responsible, which is the cornerstone of what Sharia is.
We need to go back to our roots. Our roots is about waqf, is about sustainability, ensuring that you eat from the fruits rather than eating the tree.
Their track record is sort of second to none, and I'm actually surprised perhaps that they haven't penetrated the UK market before now.
Oasis has been going for nearly 10 years now with Sharia fund management. It was something new to us, it was something strange, it was something we had to learn about, it broadened our horizons, and it made us a better economic centre as a result.
Imagine visiting the land where the